Thank you, Claudia. Welcome, 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 everyone. We are gathered here today. That sounds like there's much more. Well, maybe it's just as important as marriage. I don't know. Either way, thank you for coming in this afternoon. We ended our last meeting with a bit of unfinished business as we were talking about the 2026 budget, and there was a immediate follow up after the meeting that was a call for a subcommittee to go over where we are with the 2026 budget. What could be prioritized, where things stand, what could we fund in 2026, what were the possibilities and the options. I was in literally only in essence on that subcommittee, because unfortunately I wasn't able to participate fully. I think I was on a meeting for like 7 minutes because I was traveling for 12 of the 14 days the meeting during the time. So I apologize, but I was supported by some commendable and very what's the word? The word I'm looking for, able council people. So with no further ado, I am going to pass the mic over to Kara, who and Claudia, who are going to partner and demonstrate sharing a slide deck that has the subcommittee's findings and recommendations, and then we can move into a vote. And after the vote, I think there's maybe one other small piece of quick business about our retreat, and then I will let you go on to your own devices.
Hi, everyone. I think Claudia is going to share the slide deck that we put together. Yeah, perfect. My name's Kara, for those of you I haven't met. And I was part of this group, actually, and you can just go to the next slide, Claudia, to show folks who was in this group of people who met. We met twice since the last time this group was together. And really, we wanted to come up with a recommendation so that we could really have a unified voice on how we're going to move forward in 2026. So this was a group of people. I won't read them. You can read them. That met twice since we last met as a group. The key points we were talking about, you can go to the next slide, please, are listed here. We're talking about funding contracts that end on December 31st, which is very, very soon, for both our legacy programs and our innovative programs many of which we've been funding for the last few years. Next slide, please. So the options that we really have at this point, given that this funding is ending in 2 weeks, is to and given our budgetary restraints or our funding, our limited funding for 2026, is to continue the funding for legacy programs and terminate the funding for innovative programs or innovation programs in 2026, or a maybe less attractive alternative is to terminate all funding for programs in 2026. Those are our limited options currently. So we reviewed funding. So next slide, please. These next 3 slides are all slides that everyone has already seen. So I'm not presenting anything new here, but just as a reminder, what we were looking at, what our 2025 budget looked at, were these 3 groups of programming: the wellness programs, the transition from jail to community program, and our innovation programs. You can see those budget numbers here. If you go to the next slide, we can look at expenditures. So we do have a rollover from 2025 into 2026 of around $323,000, mostly due to a freeze on hiring in the sheriff's office. There were a couple of positions that were lost in 2025 that they were not able to refill due to the freeze on hiring. So that money is not projected we have no reason to believe that in 2026 that money would be left over again for 2027. but this is their best estimate of how much money will roll over into 2026 at least. And then if you go to the next slide, please, what that adds up to with the general fund transfer of 1.25 million, plus that rollover is a 1.573,800. You can see, you can do the math here pretty easily. If we go ahead and fund the legacy programming, the wellness programs, and the transition from jail to community program funding, that adds up to 1.4 million with a minimal remaining fund balance. So we, for some of us, maybe with a heavy heart, we think, or we can go to the next slide, that our recommendation would be to continue funding the legacy programming. This decision is mostly about funding and not data. There's maybe insufficient data to make these decisions. What we're making these decisions on is a limited amount of funding. The CPCC was initially intended to see new innovative programming that could be funded temporarily to reduce jail use and recidivism. These legacy programs exist because over time they persisted with this funding, possibly for too long without moving them into long-term funding somewhere else. So what we had discussed was, as a group, was that in our 2026 strategic planning meeting that we should discuss moving funding for these legacy programming into long-term funding coming from elsewhere so that we can continue to invest in these innovative programming ideas, put out another offer for support or request for proposals, and fund new innovative programs in 2027. But for now, in 2026, to continue to fund these very important legacy programs that have really become woven into city services. So that is the recommendation that we came up with. I'm trying to be brief, but happy to answer any questions about how that decision was made, or have a discussion now, probably. I'll let Jonathan take it from here.
Hey, thank you, Kara. Appreciate the work of you and the other committee members. As you mentioned, I don't think their recommendation comes from a callous or malice place. It is with a heavy heart that we aren't able to recommend moving forward with innovative programming. It's just that the consequences of not continuing the legacy programs is as a maximum risk for those who we are intending to serve. So appreciate the presentation. I would open the floor now for any questions, commentary, concerns, but mostly questions if they move the conversation forward.
Appreciate the subcommittee doing all this work. It looks good, so I will be a yes vote.
All right, Sheriff. Noted. I want to pause a few more seconds here for any questions or comments, and then I will probably pass it back to you to do a motion for a vote.
Jonathan?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the programs that would continue to get funding, can those be stated again? I'm trying to look back at the.
Yeah, so it would be these wellness programs on all the programs on the left side of the screen. So the wellness programs and the transition from jail to community programs.
So despite the fact that I want to say, I feel like CEO and I think Second Chance Center had quite a bit of, like, the data was different than I think some of the other ones, like they had more full complete data. So that wasn't considered. It was just more of, I guess I just wanted to touch base on that piece.
Yeah, I don't want to misstate, Kara, but I think I could speak confidently in saying that this was a budgetary decision, a recommendation based on the budgetary constraints rather than data constraints. That being said, Second Chance Center, their data was pretty robust, and they are also considered in the transition from jail to community program as well.
But then what about CEO, the Center for Employment Opportunities? Because I recall their budget, I mean, their data being pretty robust as well.
Yeah, again, this was strictly a budgetary, for simplicity and budgetary measure considerations.
Okay.
Karen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez Gutierrez, we noodled the same thing and the questions that you were asking, but when you look at the funding, simply looking at the bottom line and the budget that's available, and what most folks felt was the importance of the legacy programs and kind of how they're just embedded into so many of our current city services, trying to figure out how to, like, what do you not fund on that left side of the page versus the right side, even if with the data, quickly became about budget and less about data. And then feel like we all discussed the left-hand programs also had some good data that had been collected to date as well.
I think, and I know like this is what is before us, and I will accept that. And I know I literally would not have had time to be part of the subcommittee, so I really appreciate all the work that you did and having to have those conversations. But I would also just say, like, in other scenarios where I've been a part of, where there are grantees and things being given out, sometimes you have to also reevaluate how much they get. And that could also, and I don't know if there was any noodling on, adjusting the amounts that would be awarded. I don't know. I don't know if that was discussed.
Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, that was kind of my follow-up question as well. If I understood right, there'll be about nearly 145,000 left then after with this proposal on the table. Is there any indication as to what would happen with that 145,000, or was there any consideration to what was just mentioned, like potentially funding, you could fund one of them, maybe not at 100%, or unless there was earmarked for other use of that money?
I can't find my hand, so I'm happy to talk. I don't know where my hand is, so I'm raising my hand. I think part of the conversation also was around these legacy programs have been funded for a very long time in their full capacity, and reducing their funding would jeopardize the efficacy of the program. And the CPCC, from my edification, is only really supposed to fund things and then move them on to other programs to kind of absorb those programs. That's the intent. We fund these for another year. They should get absorbed in some other city work programming. And then depending on what our budget is next year, we can look at what else we can do. So minimizing the funding for the legacy programs didn't mesh with the philosophy of the program or what they're producing. And then there's not enough money left over. And I don't know how much these other innovative programs could support with a reduction in their funding. And that 144, that could go toward additional funding for staffing if it's needed, or it just sits and it can roll over the next year, but it just didn't seem enough money to try to figure out who gets that little piece of money. So we felt like it was just a much more conservative way to say, hang on to the 144, because we're not even finished with the whole year of 25. And that could eat up some of that 144, depending on what the invoices come in as. So it's a very solid projection. Year's not over yet. So those are just my pieces of feedback.
Sorry, go ahead, Sheriff.
Jonathan, I want to revise my previous statement. I still appreciate the work that you all did, but because that money is coming to the sheriff's department, I'm going to abstain from it.
I was just gonna say, so are those expectations going to be put forward to all of these awardees, or potential awardees, that they know that their next step is to figure out sustainability, without CPCC funds?
I think that will be very clearly articulated. And I think that's really part of what we have to talk about during our retreat. Like, what is the intent of these funds? For how long? And what is the next step for those programs who receive the funding?
And, Councilwoman, that's a great question, which has been asked time and time again, especially in the sheriff's department through the years. We will just need a commitment from folks, BMO, council, et cetera, to be able to absorb those into our general fund budget.
Yes. I completely agree with you, Sheriff. Okay, thank you. I think that's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions? All right. So we have a couple of options as far as votes go. As far as I see it, there's the option to move forward with the recommendations of the subcommittee, and fully fund the legacy programs and terminate innovation programs for fiscal year 26. A secondary option is to not fund anything at all and hold on to the funding in the reserves and the coffers for fiscal year 26 with hopes that it would augment whatever the budget allocation is for 2027. I don't think that personally, I don't think that's the way to move forward, but it is an option. And then a third option would be a compromise of the two, which I'm not putting forward because I just frankly think that the first one is the way to go. But I open the floor for anyone who wants to make a motion for any of those three options or a fourth one that I may not have considered. Mimi.
Again, can't find my hand. I have no
It's
idea
at the
where
end
it
of your
went.
wrist, okay? No.
So I would like to make a motion that we move forward with the legacy programs and terminate the innovative programs for the fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And we have a second. All right. We will do a roll call vote. Is Emily here?
Mimi,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Chief Thomas,
Yes.
Sheriff Diggins,
Abstain.
Judge Lombardi,
Abstain.
Colette,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Jasenia,
Abstain.
Emmy Joe,
Abstain on behalf of Judge Clark.
Dr. Gafford,
Yes.
Lisa,
Abstain.
Kara,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Councilwoman Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez,
Yes.
Councilman Paul Cashman,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Thane,
Yes.
and any other commissioners that I may have missed. Okay. 14 yes, 5 abstain.
All right, so passed. Thank you for your vote. Again, I reiterate how much I appreciate you all serving on this commission, and especially during these tough times and when these tough decisions and conversations have to be made and had. I know I doubt that anyone on this commission is pleased that we've had to make this difficult compromise. However, I am confident that the people who are on this commission serving with me uh, will also committed to finding the path forward, and so that we can make more informed and less difficult decisions next year, and that we will be able to propose new pathways even through uh, difficult budget times, that we can still meet our charge in protecting the people in the city and county of Denver. So thank you for all that. As a segue to that, briefly, I think we want to talk a little bit about the retreat next year so that we can start to lay some track to have those conversations and get to a space where we can do everything I just mentioned. So with that said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Claudia.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick reminder that we are set to have the retreat come next year, January 21st. And I will hopefully be sending that a calendar hold either by tomorrow, if not by Friday, the latest. So that way you guys can have it on your calendars. The agenda is to come in the next couple of weeks as we're finalizing everything with the facilitator that we do plan on having at the retreat. If you all have any questions or concerns, please let me know. It is set to have the retreat at Fleming Mansion. So more information is to come to you all. And that's it.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How is the retreat being paid for?
That's a good question. I believe in years past. Go ahead.
And then one other quick comment on that. So like for me, Councilman Cashman and Councilwoman Parity, like the thing that's tricky is doing anything Monday through Wednesday, just for future reference during the daytime, like during the, like we have committees and we actually have health and safety committee that day in the morning. And so yeah, just a poor point of reference going forward. Kind of puts us in a bind there.
Noted. They don't need you that day.
Well,
I'm
if they
just
have
kidding.
things we have to
I'm
vote
just
on, like we
kidding.
have to have quorum or they can't take action on items. And so like, and I don't know, Cashman, if you're on that committee, but I know me and Parity are. So that's two out of the three of us that are. And I do want to like prioritize being part of this group as well.
Yeah, I'm not on that committee, but I do attend regularly.
So does that mean, Jonathan and Claudia, is there any chance that a different date can be selected? Or is that the one we landed on based on all the doodle polls and such that came through?
So I believe that that was a consensus based off the doodle polls. Did I overspeak someone?
Oh, sorry, this was Emily. I'm stepping in for Claudia real quick to
Oh.
address the councilwoman's question about the funding for the retreat. It is allowable in the ordinance that small amounts of funds, or I believe it may be a number of $10,000 or under, but I will double check that in the ordinance for you all, can be used specifically for the administrative functions of the commission. And in the past strategic retreats, the costs have been taken care of that way from the fund. And so my understanding is that once we've got all the final receipts on any funds expended for the retreat, that'll be included in the budgetary update if available for the February meeting, but otherwise for the March meeting, because everything should be available by then to have an accounting of how much was spent and on what items.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Emily. I just want to make sure, because I know we have plenty of spaces that we can utilize for free. And so I'm hoping, I don't know if this is a space that we can utilize for free, because I know there's a lot of different places that the city has accessible to them. And so I just want to make sure that we're, being thoughtful about how we're utilizing these funds for this, especially the fact that we can't grant all of our awardees because we have limited funds. So I just want to be thoughtful around that.
Correct. And I did do my research and make sure that, we were able to get a location where we're not requesting a huge amount to put down as a payment to a specific location. So, we're making sure that we're within our budget as well, because I was given a budget to stay within the realms.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
Sure.
I would just say that, again, looking forward, that we also just we have tons of places that we can utilize free of charge because, through the city. And so I just want to make sure that we just think about that, even if we're given a budget for something like this, and knowing just the limitations that we have in general. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I will keep that in mind for future meetings as well.
This Cashman, Fleming mentions the former South Denver Town Hall, and I think it's in Platt Park on South Grant Street. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't command too big a dollar, because it's not a major retreat facility, let's say.
Correct. For us, I believe they charged us $200.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate your question, Councilwoman. And you're reminding us to stay fiscally responsible and prudent. Any other questions or comments about the retreat?
We do need to bring up public comment just real quick, Jonathan.
Okay. With no other questions or comments, I will open the floor for any public comment that may. Hearing none, I am writing 3:31 as a record time for a CPCC meeting under my tutelage here. So y'all have a great rest of the week. Happy holidays. Be safe. Love your family while you got them, and I'll see y'all next year.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.